What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm DeMarius Jackson. In today's video, we're going to go over 5 scale patterns you can use to improve your technique. And once we're done with those 5 techniques, we're actually going to go over why they work. I always wonder why certain patterns work better than others. We'll talk about that a little bit. And additionally, we're going to be going over one scale pattern that I've been using lately to get my mind more wrapped around scales and get them kind of fluid in my fingers and in my mind. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so that first scale pattern is going to be a dotted 8th 16th note pattern. I have it down here on the screen, and I'll use a major scale for this. This is going to be a major scale to the 9th. So we're going to play the entire major scale and add one more note to the 9th and then come down that major scale. So it's going to sound like this. All right, that next scale pattern, number 2, is going to be the reverse of that. So we'll have 16th dotted 8th. All right, and scale pattern number 3, we're actually going to change the time signature. So this is going to be 6/8. So it's going to be 2 8th notes followed by 2 16th notes. I'll have it on the screen down here. Sounds like this. All right, and number 4, we have an 8th, 2 16th notes, and another 8th note. And finally, pattern number 5, you can guess it, 2 16th notes, 2 8th notes. Here we go. All right, now let's talk about why these patterns work. Now, I can only speak from a woodwind perspective because I play woodwind instruments. I'm sure they can be useful for brass, but once again, this is on the woodwind side of things. So since I'm holding the saxophone at this time, let's talk about why it works on saxophone. Now, the main reason it works is mainly because the distance in between notes. So what I mean by that is really the amount of fingers that have to move from one note to another. So let's take that first pattern, for instance, and we have a a dotted 8th 16th. My fingers get a chance to go from G to A, from A to B, B to C at different speeds. So obviously when I'm playing, right, I'm holding the G a little bit longer. I'm going from the A to the B a little bit faster. Now, this is very apparent when we're actually putting down more fingers. For instance, if you play from C to D on the saxophone, that's a lot of fingers to move and to coordinate at one time. So when we reverse that pattern, when we have the 16th dotted 8, right, we're practicing going from G to A fast now and changing the variations of our speed of our fingers going from note to note. It's especially helpful and apparent on patterns 3 through 5 when we switch that time signature to 6/8. So check this out. Right, I get to practice B, C, D very quickly and slow down on the G and A. Flip that pattern a little bit. Right, I get to practice different notes at different speeds, and finally that last pattern. All right, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you. It's just the difference or the speed in between notes, the distance, as I like to call it, in between notes. But we're really talking about the fingers going down at different intervals and spreading those intervals out across the whole pattern. That way, when we actually go back to our straight 8ths or 16th notes pattern, hopefully your technique will be a little bit more even than it was previously. And as promised, let's go over that next scale pattern that I've been using lately to try to get some scales under my fingers. I love this one because it makes me think. I wish I was this original, but I actually heard this from Adam Larson. If you haven't heard him, check him out on Instagram, Facebook. I'll leave links and all that good stuff. But I picked this one up from him. So let's make it really simple. We're thinking about a C major scale descending. So the notes for that are going to be like this. And then we're also thinking about major sevenths, all right? So essentially we're playing the C major scale descending in major sevenths, but we're spacing it out in intervals, ascending intervals that is, on the saxophone. So here's how it sounds. The first note is gonna be that low C. A major seventh above that is gonna be our B natural. Once again, we're thinking ascending major sevenths. The next note above that is gonna be A diatonic. Next note above that is gonna be G. You know I love to get my altissimo practice in. Then we're gonna bring it back down. So our next note is gonna be F. Next note E. Next note D. Next note C. All right, so finally, all together, it sounds like this. Hopefully this has been an informative video. If it has, do me a favor, smash the like button, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Out.